Hey everyone, 0.3 has been out for long enough that I feel confident in putting out this build guide for my SLAMQUAKE Smith of Kitava character. A lot of content creators have been downplaying how strong Smith of Kitava is in this patch just because Titan's Blood got nerfed. But in this video I want to go over the strengths, the weaknesses of the Ascendancy, as well as tech that I used to create the strongest character that I've ever played in Path of Exile 2. The build style is really simple. You run around the map, you Earthquake, you move on, and then eventually the Earthquake's going to explode behind you, killing everything that's chasing you. When you see a rare monster, run up to it, rolling slam it, and basically one-shot it. And that's it. Super simple. Honestly, one of the most enjoyable playstyles on any warrior that I've played so far. I like it better than Stampede. I like it better than the old school auto attack, blow the screen up. And when it comes to bossing, rolling slam is still king. We don't have access to the same supports we did last league, but instead we're given a single lineage support jewel that increases our damage by like 240%, which is crazy. So now that that intro's out of the way, let's jump into why I think Smith of Kitava SLAMQUAKE is one of the strongest builds in the entire game. First off, I want to go over a few different setups for Forged in Flame to make it really easy to get all maximum elemental resistance. One of the best items that you can pick up that is fairly cheap right now is a maximum fire res, maximum chaos res against the darkness. There are a few different places you can put this on the passive tree, but for now I'm running one that gives me 5 max fire res and 5 max chaos res. Up next is a very expensive pair of gloves from 0.3 where new items have been added called exceptional items that can drop with an extra socket. If you corrupt those items, you could get again on top of that an extra socket, so there are 3 socket gloves in the game now. Combine that with the 100% increase effect of socketed items, you can get 6 max fire res on a single pair of gloves. Again, if you don't want to do this, you could just buy an exceptional pair of gloves and just get 4 fire res from your glove slot, which is totally fine. And the final item I want to go over is just the max fire res corrupt on your belts, which there are tons of these. You can buy them for cheap, super easy. To get the final percent, just grab any ruby with max fire res on it and you're good to go. Those 4 items in total will give you 15% max fire res, all of your elemental res is capped, and you get an extra 5 to 6% max chaos res depending on how you set it up. Sticking with defenses, the next item I have to go over is the Constricting command. This new breakout unique from 0.3 increases your attack damage as well as defenses by a shit ton. In order for that to happen, you need a helm that has rolled 5 fewer enemies. Anything less than that is not going to work, anything more is not needed. The reason being that you count as surrounded if there are 5 enemies near you. With the hat and the number 5, it makes it so that you are always surrounded and you can benefit from anything that says when surrounded. The 2 wheels on the tree that do that are here in this corner of the map. One is Thrill of Battle, and the other wheel has 3 that you're going to take: Favorable Odds, Tactical Retreat, and Frantic Fighter. And as you can see, this is the location where I put the Time Lost Jewel. When you put those all together, you get a bunch of armor and evasion, attack damage, attack speed, move speed, and dodge roll. When I saw this for the first time, as well as with the nerf to block, I thought maybe I could just go hybrid armor evasion. So after playing most of the league as armor only, I swapped over and never looked back. One of the best pieces of tech you can use if you're going hybrid is you benefit from Wind Dancer. It gives you more evasion, but more importantly, it also procs whenever you get hit in a way that it does damage to enemies around you. And with certain supports, you can make that damage proc armor break, which then feeds into Scavenged Plating. Scavenged Plating then gives you more armor based on how much stacks of it you have, which you get maxed out on by just being hit by enemies in the map. Breaking Armor also gives you endurance charges for charge regulation, which gives you another 20% more defenses, so that's armor and evasion. Then one of the biggest reasons why hybrid is so good is because you get to dual wield two-handers, which is another +6 level to all your skills, which is like 60% more damage, as well as a 40% just from the skill itself. So overall, you're normally kind of just doing double damage when you're dual wielding. One of the biggest reasons why dual wielding was not as popular last league and the league before is because you couldn't block. 75% max block was insane. That's now been nerfed down to 50%, which means really all you'd have to do to compete is to hit 50% evasion. In maps right now, I'm getting close to 50%, as well as having some added deflection, which is even more damage reduction. At the moment, I don't know if deflection gets considered before armor, but if it does, it's even stronger in combination with each other. Just unsure. When you put all of this together, you end up with an incredibly strong defensive character. That's always been the power of the Smith of Kitava. The one thing that you are weak to when you're running this build is physical damage over time. There are certain Abyss mobs that have it as a drop on death. I think the Incubator Queen mob also has some amount of like PHYS damage over time. I haven't really figured it out, but I have died to it a few times. So that does it for the defense. Now, why is this, to me at least, one of the strongest builds I've ever played? Well, it's because of a new support gem that makes offense not a problem. In 0.3, GGG added Bloodletting. This lineage support is the most broken support in the entire game. It makes your skill cost life, and then it scales its damage based on how much that life cost is. The current setup that I'm running is Bloodletting on Rolling Slam. We have Heft for, again, a cost multiplier. We have the largest cost multiplier in the game with Fist of War 3, which triples the cost. And then we're rounding it out with Close Combat, which again has a cost multiplier tied to it. The final support gem is Aftershock, just for a chance at double damage, essentially. And what you end up with is a skill cost of around 1200 life. If we do some quick maths, you see that Bloodletting is giving you 240% extra PHYS damage for a single support gem, which is insane. It just breaks the game. You don't need to put any points outside of the surround points on the tree to damage. There's a few that I take, but honestly, you could take all your points, put them into defense, put them into movement, put them into area of effect. It doesn't matter. This gem by itself will carry you offensively. We're almost done with tech, but the final support gem that I want to go over is something that they added again in 0.3 that I feel like is broken, and that is Life Leech 3. This support gem is essentially one of the Slayer Ascendancies in a nutshell from PoE 1. It makes the ability that it's supporting have a ton of leech, and then that leech does not go away when you hit full life. The reason why this matters is because I put it on Earthquake, and while you have Life Leech going from Earthquake, you're allowed to then use Rolling Slam with a massive 1200 life cost tied to it, and really not feel that amount of damage taken. You might see my health dip every now and then if I don't have the Life Leech up when I use Rolling Slam, and it's because of that. The other thing I would do to offset the Rolling Slam cost is to get a Life Flask with some amount of instant recovery on it, just so you can spam it, especially in boss fights. One final piece of the puzzle that I haven't talked about is how do you actually deal with the cost of a plus, I think it's plus 17 levels to Earthquake, and that's just by using Defy. So because you have the helmet, because you're always surrounded, you don't actually care about your mana. Your War Cries have life tap, your auto attack is free, and then your Rolling Slam costs life, so mana doesn't matter to you anymore. And with that, I feel like that wraps up all of the tech that I've dealt with. I could talk a bit more about my experience running the builds, all of the different versions that I've tried. I also might start streaming again, showing off this build. If you have any questions, jump by. I should be able to answer them. Below, I'm going to post a POB for my current setup, which is an item rarity setup. But throughout the past 2 weeks, I've tried a bunch of different versions of it. I've tried move speed, I've tried more attack speed, I've tried a bunch more defense, I've tried a ton of area of effect. Area of effect is really good quality of life for Earthquake when you're mapping. It means that you don't really have to kill excess mobs on like the edge of the screen that you missed. The larger the Earthquake, the better it is for clear, basically. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Like, subscribe if you enjoy these videos. If you're running Smith of Kitava and you haven't tried this out, let me know. If you're somebody who wanted to try out a warrior class this league, but was unsure based on all of the feedback that you've seen, in my opinion, all of it's wrong. Smith of Kitava is one of the strongest in the game. You could probably run this build as a Titan as well. You're probably going to be less tanky. I don't know if you would go hybrid. You might go all armor with armor applies to elemental. Not really sure, but there's definitely possibility for you to run this on any warrior ascendancy you want. I feel like it's that strong. I feel like the pieces of the puzzle of this build that I've shown off today, you could kind of use in your builds. Try them out. Let me know how it goes. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one.